Well, today we have a new radio on the workbench. New to me, anyway. It's a Magnavox. I've never owned a Magnavox. I've never seen a Magnavox tube radio. This one's in pretty good shape. I don't know the exact year, but I think it's around 62, 61, 62, something like that, I believe. AM, FM. They have this marked as loudness, but I believe that's the volume. The tone, on-off switch, tuning, and then your band selector switch. This radio, in my opinion, for as old as it is in fairly good condition. I can only find a couple of things wrong with it. There's some corrosion on this switch here, which I'm not sure it's corrosion. I'm going to try and clean that. And there's a dent right here in this. And it looks like something may have gotten poked in here. I'm not sure. But I think a good cleaning is what it really needs. There's a couple of small chips in the case, but it's not bad. I have plugged it in and turned it on. I wasn't planning on doing a video on this, but I was having trouble finding a schematic for it. The model of it is I believe it's on the bottom here, is the tag. Yes, the tag is on the bottom here. Let me see if I can flip this around. So, oops, crash and burn. Okay. So let's get a good look at that. So it's a 3FM02100 is the model number. Is there a year on that? I don't think there is a year. Model and finish, Magnavox Corporation, Fort Wayne, Indiana. Run number 1. So they must have had a couple of runs or planned on having a couple of different runs of this radio. I'm not sure. But let's come back out here. See you guys back over here real quick. I took the back off already because I wanted to look in there, see what's going on. It does have an interlock type cord. I think it's called an interlock anyway. And the cord is kind of part of the back. Luckily this is in good shape. I looked online and these things are really hard to come by. I'm not sure what a guy would have to do. Other guys, they are saying they've made a cord. They use a Molinex connectors, and then they use some sort of epoxy mix or something. I don't know what it's called, but well, anyway, I cannot find a wiring diagram for this specific model number. But what I was able to do is look online for this chassis number, 6502-00, and I could not find a wiring diagram specific for this chassis. I believe there might be a Sam's photo fact of this. I'm not paying $22 for a wiring diagram, so I did some digging around, and I found I believe that Bateman's made a wiring diagram for the 6501, and from what I can tell, it's exactly the same as this. There's another model of this of a Magnavox I think was made around the same time. It's an FM22. It looks very similar to this, but instead of the speakers being in the front, they're on the sides. It's kind of at an angle. And there's two speakers on either side, but it uses this chassis, this exact chassis. And that's how I came up with the wiring diagram for this. So like I said, the AM works pretty good. This sounds very nice. It's got 3 speakers inside the radio here. There's 3 speakers. There's one there, and one there. It's very nice. It sounds excellent. I'm surprised I'm not hearing any hum. No electrolytic hum. I just assumed, as old as it was, that the electrolytics would be bad and be humming. Pretty good. I see there's quite a few disc capacitors in a ceramic disc. Those generally don't go bad, generally. So, like I said, the FM is not working that I can tell. And I have an idea what's wrong with it. I don't believe it's an electrical problem. I believe it's a mechanical problem. The way the FM tuner works on this. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to get the chassis out of the cabinet, and we're going to take a look at how the dial string works on this for the FM tuner. We'll be right back. Well, we got the tuner out of the chassis out of the radio. And what I thought was wrong might still be part of the problem, but not 100%. You've got two dial strings on this radio. One of them runs the pointer, which is this string here, I believe runs the pointer. And then you've got another one. Oh, be careful here. You got another one. Maybe if I tip it up on this end, can it stand up without being a problem? Yes. Okay, so we have another one. See if I can zoom in here a little bit on this. Okay, we have another one that runs on this pulley. It's connected to this. It might be a little hard to run. I'll lift it up a little bit. Tip it up a little bit. So right there, I haven't taken this apart. I've never had one of these apart. I have no idea how this works in there, but I'm guessing there's a slug that's moving, and it's spring loaded. So there's a spring on the backside that pulls it back. So when we're all the way to the high end of the dial, tuner, AM tuner all the way open, the banana splitter all the way open, this has got a little bit of slack in it. And we can turn it quite a ways. There, it just started moving. You need to watch that close. That might be better if maybe if I take a marker. It might help me visualize it as well, see if it's moving or not. So let's just put a little mark right there. I moved that dial quite a bit. Still not moving. There, just started moving. Okay, there's the end. The banana splitter's all the way closed. Let's see if I can hold this. And how much further can this go? Just to, it might be set right. Okay, so this could be part of the problem, but I doubt it because I don't get no stations whatsoever. I would think, even without an external antenna hooked up to the FM, I should get something, and I'm not getting anything. So my next thought was, the band switch. So we'll take a look at the band switch now. There. Now there's our band switch. Our band switch is here. All right, we're back on the Magnavox AM FM. It's hard to tell the model number. The model number that's on the outside on the case, I think is more generally for the case itself. I think these Magnavoxes go by chassis number, and there's a chassis number printed on the back here. We'll take a look at that in a minute. But apparently this chassis is used in a couple of different radios, and they have a couple of different options. The one difference I did see between a couple of different schematics that I seen was a power meter. So there was some sort of tuning power meter to let you know how strong the station was, which I kind of wish this radio had, but it doesn't. So I've gotten all of the parts I'm going to changed. There was a 24 microfarad at 25 volts, I believe, right here. And then the CAN capacitor was 3 sections, 100, 100, and a 50. So that's what you see here, 100, 100, 50. It had a 1K resistor and a 100 ohm resistor. And I mounted a terminal strip in here. There's lots of room under here. When I started going on it, I got all this room. And then I, got this going together. I had a hard time getting in here soldering things with, with the way it is. So you had to build it a little bit at a time, but it works. Somebody had been in this radio. Some of the resistors have been changed. Not all of them, just a few of them. I put a safety cap here. There's our line coming in off of these, only thing I could describe as inductors in the power line. I have no idea what they're for. We have a capacitor right here that's off of the hot line and goes right to the antenna. The neutral goes up to the switch, comes back, and is on the chassis. So this is a hot chassis. There's one of these here, and there's another one on the back of the volume switch. I'm not, the wiring diagram does show these, but it doesn't, I guess it does give you all the values inside of them. So if something had went wrong with one of these, a guy could build it. So it's not that big a deal. It had a selenium rectifier. We're going to take a look at the chassis number now. See, I need to stand it up on this end. Yes, 3FM02100. That's the chassis number. That's the wiring diagram you want to go after. 3FM02100. Let's take a look at right there. So, selenium rectifier was mounted here. Actually, mounted here. I took it out and I put a diode in here, and then I had to figure out the resistor, which there's lots of tutorials on how to figure out that resistor and the wattage of the resistor. So I put a 2 watt in here just to be safe. It's way more than enough. Pardon me. Line coming in, rectified going out to the capacitors, to our electrolytic capacitors. I did do one thing I found. This bulb is a 7 watt LED that draws 0.6 watts. So it's almost nothing in amperage. So it doesn't create any more load, and it gives out 7 watts of light. Originally, I think this had a 3 watt or a 4 watt, I can't remember. But this is going to be a lot brighter, so I'm interested to see how this looks once it's in the case and how bright it is. I know there was something else. Oh, the FM wasn't working. I went around and around in a circle. I have no way to test these. My Ekio tube tester has this socket, but it doesn't show the switch positions for the tubes that are in this radio. I didn't check all of them, but this was supposed to be a 12 BT8, and what was in there was a 6. It's almost all worn off of here now. It was a 6. I can't remember now, but it's a 6 volt. It's not right, and it is a dual pentode, but for some reason it could have been just a bad tube. So I ordered the right tube that was supposed to be in here, and I put it in there, and it just fixed the radio. I did a lot of resistance checks inside this can without taking it apart. There's quite a few capacitors and I think a couple of resistors in here and a diode for the AFC, for the automatic frequency control. I did my best to troubleshoot it externally, you know, by pulling this and doing, you know, back probing and resistance checks, and I couldn't find anything wrong in here per se. So when I got the tube in, I put it in and it fixed the FM. So the FM's working perfect now. I cleaned up the dial glass a little bit. I didn't get too crazy on it. The alignment, pardon me, the alignment checks out. It's right on the money. I didn't have to make any adjustments. So, what did I do with those other knobs? Okay. Yeah, so what I think I'll do is I'll get it back inside the case, and we'll come back and take a look at it. I might have to do a little bit of cleaning to the case, but yeah, I left this capacitor in place and I didn't pull it. I was going to pull it off of here. I did order some of those adapter caps, but they haven't arrived yet. They're supposed to be here today, and I want this radio done and off the bench. I want to get going on that Zenith radio that I've been working on. I want to get that done as well. I just want to move on. This radio works perfectly. There's no reason to spend any more time on it other than a little bit of cleaning. I think this is going to make a nice gift. Hopefully it gets a lot of use, because it's a good radio. It sounds really good. It's got great sound. It's got 3 speakers in the cabinet, a big one and 2 small ones. So, yeah. I'll get it back into the into the cabinet, and the knobs on it and the back on it with the interlock. And I've been thinking I need to change the end of this because it's not polarized. It's got a non-polarized plug on it on the interlock cable. And the cable itself is in pretty good shape. I have to look at this real close again. I'm going to inspect this cable really well. I would like to replace it, but I mean, where are you going to get that? Where are you going to get that interlock connector with the slot in it for that? I mean, a guy could just remove it all the way and then remove that connector in the back and just wire it directly on a terminal strip, but you know, to be honest with you, I really don't want to do that. I like the interlock. I like this. So if anybody ever takes the back off of it, it's done. The end of it. So this is in very good shape, this back piece is. And I'm not sure what it's made out of. I think it might be plastic. It's not wood. If it is hardboard, it's good quality. They sealed it up nice so moisture can't get to it. It's pretty nice. It's in pretty good shape. Well, this radio's in good shape anyway. So enough of me babbling. We'll come back when I get the radio back in the cabinet, and we'll see what that dial light looks like. See how it lights that up with that LED in there. Well, we got the radio back in the cabinet. Cleaned the cabinet up a little bit. It wasn't very bad. It's in very good shape. We'll take a look at it here in a second, but the radio works. You know, didn't think it was going to, yeah. So I've got the dim bulb tester, just no bulbs. It's full power, just through the isolation transformer. And we'll just turn it on here. So the tone and volume are, pardon me, is where the on-off switch is. The tone, I mean, the tone. That's awesome. I wonder what that's about. That's some serious oscillation going on there. It was working! What could be going on? Why would it oscillate? If it does it on the AM, man, I'm gonna have to take this thing back apart. What the hell could be going on? Could one of the capacitors be bad in the output stage? Huh. We'll have to take a look at it. Well, I got the chassis out. I'm not I think I know what was going on. Why it was doing what it was doing is, I can't explain it, but I thought I had a problem with one of these capacitors here, or this, I don't know, it's got capacitors and resistors, like a voltage divider with capacitors. I'm not sure what it does. Pardon me. I thought I had a problem with that because I could wiggle this and I could make it do it and stop doing it. Then I was messing with the volume a little bit and it was scratching some, so I thought, well, maybe I got a bad solder joint here. So I took the chassis out and I inspected everything and I can't find anything wrong, and I powered it back up and I tapped on stuff and I decided, well, before I start changing capacitors around solder and stuff, I never clean this control, and I recently got some Deoxit F5, and I got some Deoxit D5, but I used the F5 on it. I cleaned it and it's been running good. I've had it running for just a little over 3 hours now, so we'll turn it on for you here real quick. I don't know what happened. I think that just got some crud in it. I never heard one do that before because of the volume control. I don't want to play that too long.
We'll be bright and early every Saturday. Go in Auburn, you're home for machine guns.
So that's on FM. And it would do it on AM too. It didn't matter what band it was on.
To a great start, and the schedule is filling up fast. As summers get hotter around here.
To flip-flop between reading and distance glasses or contacts.
There are a lot of FM stations around here.
Yeah, thank you so much. He proposed at the Washington.
Of these three words that there's somebody break your. Do you know?
This is the WFMC network.
Aretha? Nice.
Without the support of your local radio.
Alright, enough of that. It's working. I'm going to put it back in the cabinet. Bring you back when I get it back in the cabinet. We'll see if it pulls that dog poo again. I doubt it will. Well, we got the radio back in the case. The knobs are all on. Okay, power's on. Warming up. The dial's nice and bright. That LED looks good in there.
Don't be out here on my own, and even harder to let you go. I really
Wrong man dealt the wrong hand.
Outside of 20 million vaccines administered, of the 18 cases, I don't know how many were fatal, yet compared to 20 million vaccines, it seems like it's worth the risk or worth the risk. I'm sure the mortality rate of COVID far surpasses this vaccine. Nancy, let me turn to you. This is a story about quantity and about deployment of vaccines as well, and there was a piece in Yahoo News
running good
this week that 45% of that Oxford AstraZeneca vaccine has gone unused across the European Union. Seems like a worryingly high number, especially as we look around.
So the model
world,
number is on the bottom of this, as I showed you at the beginning of
Brazil,
the
which is really wrestling with this.
At the beginning of the
That's
video,
right,
so
and it's worth noting only 10%
that chassis number is the way to go
had the vaccine, and so when a report
for your wiring diagram. Is the chassis number that's stamped on the back of the
doses that have been delivered
of the chassis.
Only half have been administered.
So you get the correct wiring diagram.
Really, I think highlights the challenge about vaccine distribution. I think so many people were focused on as soon as a vaccine is created, it will lead to the end of the pandemic. But that's actually the first step, because there are multiple steps in between in which the drug must be distributed, administered, and actually get into people's arms. Part of that is logistical, and part of that is sort of confidence.
Any excuse to keep it going.
I think what this report shows is that the logistical challenge, that it's not enough to have the vaccine, that governments have to find a way to distribute them.
Yeah, it's a problem.
In a timely manner. And with these vaccines in particular, some of the
not everybody's going to take it either. So
temperatures, and so
all right.
To me, the report really highlighted that we can't think about the end of the pandemic as simply producing the vaccine,
tone works good,
but coming up with the mechanisms to actually administer them and get them into people's arms.
Nancy Youssef of the Wall Street Journal, and Jared Lakshmanan is with us as well, Senior Executive Editor at National Geographic, and Paul Danaher, who's the Washington Bureau Chief for the BBC. And Paul, I'll turn to you on this next question about.
I'm pretty happy with the function of this radio.
Begin to return to normalcy. Amid that news about vaccines, there's also news about vaccine passports and other mechanisms we could have that would make it easier, perhaps, to reopen travel.
No, it's on AFC. It kind of widens the band, is what I've noticed.
To have something called a digital.
So once you're on the station, you can turn it to AFC, and it kind of
has had the virus recently.
Kind of widens it out.
Tested negative recently, or
see how far the needle's moving?
Would get a little bit of paper.
Now when I put it back on FM.
One of the great cherished things about the EU, the free movement.
See how narrow that is now?
Borders. The concern is that you'll end up with a kind of an apartheid system where those who've got the vaccine.
I'm going to let it run here for a few hours, but if there's any, I'm pretty sure it's fixed. I'm pretty happy with the operation. Thank you, Deoxit, for making such a great product. Awesome. Thanks for watching. And we will be back with another radio. Hopefully that I can get parts for that that Zenith and get changing wires on that. But I don't want to do any work to it until I have other parts. So.
In Europe anyway about the vaccine rollout and
I'll sit here and listen to the vaccine.
You can see this being the next big bone of contention.
Nancy, there was a lot of